Hello everybody and welcome to another stoplight video. In this video, Travis and I use a simple stoplight system to kind of just give advice on what purchases you should start with. We did this previously with campaign boxes and we had a lot of people asking about standalones, which we rarely talk about standalones on the channel. That's just because campaign play is more fun than standalone play.
Yeah.
But we're here. We're going to talk about all the standalones, give a stoplight. Green means go, yellow means caution, red means no go, do not. So this is the perspective of which standalone scenario should I get first. We're going to dive in with our first one here, which is Curse of the Rougarou. I gave it a yellow light. Travis gave it a green light. Travis, why don't you say why that is?
This system really sucks for colorblind people, huh?
Well, that's why I have the yellow and green on it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, yeah. I gave this one a green because this scenario is very mechanically simple. It doesn't, it's not super hard. It's a nice challenge. Especially if you just have, a core set, it is going to be quite challenging for you. If you have core set and, one or two cycles, it'll be, it'll be a good challenge.
Yeah.
It won't be easy, but it's very, very doable. Any more than that, it gets a little bit towards on the easy side. And I think that this one is more appreciable when you have less cards and, earlier in your sort of Arkham experience or career.
Yeah.
Which is probably why I give it a green.
This one is actually the first standalone released, so it better be accessible for a smaller collection, and it is. For me, the yellow is more just the fact that I don't think it's particularly fun, and it's kind of just because it is just a little boring. Really, it's what it is. It's not bad.
There's nothing flashy about it or anything like that, but it is. Especially if you only have the core set and Dunwich and Carcosa, for example, it's just more Arkham. Which is fine.
Yeah. It's certainly not a bad first one to start with, but it doesn't get a green light for me. But I agree, it's it's mechanically simple. The mood of it is really enjoyable. I like the whole New Orleans vibe to the whole thing, and I want to see a full campaign there. But it's just I think in terms of replayability, that's also where I'm looking at it. And green's I find to be a bit more replayable for me.
That's fair.
All right, next one we got here is Carnevale of Horrors, which Travis and I both gave a green light to.
Yeah. This one's really fun, mechanically simple again.
Yeah.
You just go around the circle.
Yeah. It's flavorfully really cool. The Venice vibe is really fun. The actual going around the circle. I'll never forget because when we first started playing, and Travis told me just because they played Carnival, and Travis was like, "It's so cool, man! It's the best
blow your
shit."
mind.
Yeah, and it is. It's really cool, especially when you're just starting Arkham.
Yeah. Even now, full collection, and 5-6 years later, it's a little on the easy side, but it's still a good time.
Yeah, and it's it also has a good amount of replayability because a mechanic for it is that simple thing they do where there's a bunch of face down cards and you need to find the right ones. Yep. So there's some good replayability there. Yep. There's also when your card pool gets bigger, you can kind of game the scenario in very fun ways, playing with movement.
The locations are randomized too, right?
Yes, which also really helps. It's just a great fun scenario, and I think it's probably my number one green light here. I think it's just really, really good.
Yeah, no, I would recommend this one as your first standalone overall if you can get it.
So while we are only using a 3-point rating system, this is green star.
This is the greenest of the green.
Yeah, the most green.
Yeah, the purest green.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go next to Labyrinths of Lunacy, which we each gave a red light to.
Yeah, so if you're not playing this one as a multiplayer, I think it just kind of sucks.
Yes, agreed. So if you don't know what we mean by that,
it was kind of fun the first time, I guess, because we didn't really know what we were getting into.
Yeah.
But after that first playthrough, it's even during the first playthrough, we could tell how much we were missing.
Yeah. So the massive multiplayer stuff, these were designed to be played at Gen Con and Arkham Nights, where a bunch of people play and you get to interact with each other.
Or Patreon Game Days.
Which we do on the channel. Yeah, we actually play all these massive multiplayers on Patreon Game Day every few months.
And get that self-promotion there just.
And they're fun. This one is a
really
very fun massive multiplayer.
Yeah.
But if you're buying a standalone scenario, you're probably playing solo or with someone in your family or a few of your friends, and you don't have 12 people and 3 copies of Labyrinths of Lunacy to do a massive multiplayer event, right?
Yep.
So this one is not great in when you play it in non-massive multiplayer, so it's an easy red light. Yeah. All right. On to Guardians of the Abyss, which we also are given a red light to.
This one's pretty hard.
It's very hard.
Like, kind of spoilers, but this one's like 2 parts, right? They come together. If you fail the first one, you get killed, and that's not really fun.
No.
It's fine for a standalone, like if you're not playing it as part of a campaign.
Yep.
In a campaign, it's like this is a real decision to do. But some of the card rewards are really fun.
Yeah.
So like I kind of wish we played more often, but.
So when we were doing the lights, I almost gave this a yellow because I think they're 2 great scenarios. They're really fun, but then I remember, no, this is first standalone.
You need the
scenario.
card pool to like they're very. I would say even like pretty medium difficulty as far as like scenarios in Arkham go with a full collection, but like especially when you're only even like 1, 2, 3 campaigns, like you're gonna struggle.
And because it has like kill potential in a campaign, you need to be like hyper efficient as well when playing it, right? So like you can there's like
you need to be making good decisions consistently.
Yeah, so it's like not like something you're just gonna like pick up and like play when you're just starting. It's you're gonna lose and you're gonna be like, why did I spend $20 on that?
Fun.
But I do think it's a great scenario, like 2 set of scenarios. They're really fun. And if this was like later on, it's an easy green or yellow for me. But for your first one,
it's a really good scenario. I enjoy it a lot, but not for your first.
Yeah.
Nah.
All right. We're going to go then next to Murder at the Excelsior Hotel. I gave this one a green. I don't like this scenario that much.
Anymore.
Yeah, but...
I used to.
The first playthrough is really enjoyable. But it has a lot of, like... Okay, I'm going to rewind that. It has like some replayability. There's like a
What might
breath.
say 50% replayability.
I mean honestly I bring it down to like 10% replayability because like you only really get like 2 turns where it's like really replayable, like where the stuff lies. Yeah. However, it is like flavorful and fun, and it's a good deck testing scenario. So I don't disagree that it's like a good like starter scenario for the standalones. So like it gets a green for me. It's still like an easy recommendation. It's one that we did, our only giveaway we've ever done. We did a Murder at Excelsior Hotel because it's just like, this is a thing that can fit in anyone's collection very easily.
Yep.
And it's, I do like it for testing your decks and also for like forcing players to try new things. However, it's not my personal favorite, but I'm going to give it a green.
Yeah, we used to hype this one up quite a bit as being like really good and replayable, and we kind of like played it a bunch more, and then our opinions fell on it. I think it's a group. Especially why I give it a yellow. It is like a good first scenario in that like it's not mechanically complex. The setup's not too bad. It's not like super difficult. It's kind of fun to play. But the first half is extremely repetitive. If you're playing in a group, basically one person sits there and makes brain tests every turn for the first like 8 turns of the game, and it's not super fun for them, especially if they built their deck to like do something different. Yeah, like it's fine as a first one, but under the assumption that like you're gonna probably whichever standalone you buy first is the one you're gonna play the most. It's just that first half of the scenario is like can really be a slog sometimes.
Yeah. I'm like a green yellow. Like I'm definitely like it's like my most yellow green, but
it's sort of like a lime green.
Yeah, it's a little bit limey.
Yeah.
But I mean, also as well, it's a very popular recommendation for that. So like, as a whole, the Arkham community does dig this one as like a starting recommended scenario. All right, next one we got here is Barkham Horror. It's a red.
Dogs.
It's a red for me if you're playing in paper because it's out of print and it's never going to go back into print, and it costs like $100.
Why didn't you just buy when it came out? Come on, man.
It's just that easy. If you're playing digital, this is an easy green. It's a fun scenario. We're going to be playing it with human investigators for the first time coming up pretty soon. For you on the channel, that's not going to be until like August or September.
But for us, it's next week.
Yeah. So it is a fun scenario, and like if you like the whole dog and cat vibe, it's really fun. But in terms of like physical, I don't recommend anyone buys this unless you find it like at a store for $18 for retail price. Really.
Yeah. No, like I also wouldn't pay the prices for it in paper. I mean, like I personally might if I didn't already have it because I would like to have everything.
Yeah, and I mean, when you have a disposable income, right? Like that's
I would really like it if they like. Honestly, the biggest downside to this for me is like the cat dog theme. I think this is a really fun scenario. It's like very Arkham. It's just like
it's just a pure Arkham experience.
Yeah, there's lots of references to like a variety of famous H.P. Lovecraft stories and stuff from the mythos. Lots of things where people who even only read like a little bit can look and be like, "Oh, I recognize that," right?
Yeah, or like play the other Arkham Files games too. You see all those like stuff. Yeah.
If this was more accessible and didn't have the dog cat theme, even if it did still have the dog cat theme, this might be an easy green for me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the accessibility is tough.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next up we have the Blob, which ate it all.
No, it says the Blob that ate everything, Justin.
The Blob, which never stopped eating.
Try again.
Oh, the Blob that ate everything. Oh, it does say there. Okay, yeah. So this is another massive multiplayer one, but I do think it plays very fun in single. I think it's a very good like one game group thing. I'm giving it a yellow personally because I think the gameplay loop of it isn't particularly exciting on replays. Like there's aspect of it that is really good and there's a good chunk of replayability. But like lightest spoilers here, I'm gonna give it like the most vague way, but like just like how the game structures and how like Act 1, 2, and 3 work, and then like it just like it's not like super engaging for me, so that's why it's like it's a more of a limey thing, but it's more yellow than it is green for me.
So yeah, I give this one a green because again, not mechanically complex, big one. There is some replayability and like the sort of like side questy aspect that happens later. And then I think that if you're going to have a standalone to play like 3 or 4 times before you look at getting another standalone or something like that, or just to fill in the gap between getting a new campaign, something along those lines, I think this is a good one for that because you can play it the first time, appreciate it, and then like it offers a lot of opportunities to kind of to play around the events that happen that Justin vaguely referred to, and like kind of optimize your decks to take advantage of those and stuff like that.
Which does make replayability better for that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think it offers like it's not one you sit there and you replay 10 times or whatever, but I think it's a really good one to replay like 2 to 4 times in a row.
Yeah. It also has a mechanic called reality acid, which basically the Blob eats everything. It eats everything, and it might eat things that you don't expect it to eat, and that also adds up to the replayability of it all because you can get like some real big like, what the hell's happening moments. Yeah. Also fun in massive multiplayer, but I don't think it's. I think like it's not as. It's interesting because like the massive multiplayer, there's like different things.
Honestly, it's not that different in
massive multiplayer.
It's
not. Yeah.
You're just kind of like playing by yourself, and then sometimes the game ends and you didn't do it.
Yeah, that's true. All right, next one we got here is War of the Outer Gods, and Travis and I, we switched.
Yeah, we've been doing that a lot.
We have. I mean, it's
a lot of these are like pretty close on the cusp of that yellow green.
And like for me, this one got a green. It is not. I would say this one is like the biggest like knock against it, and would turn it more yellow than green is the mechanical complexity in terms of keeping track of things that are happening. I do think that a lot of the mechanics like, in this one are elegant.
Not game mechanics, but like actual like keeping track of things that are happening on the board.
Yes. Because the game mechanics themselves are elegant, but there can be a lot going on. This one's another massive multiplayer. I do enjoy it in solo because it's kind of just...
I do too.
It's like Blob, right? The massive multiplayer is not really like Labyrinths where it's about direct relation. It's just like, oh, there's a lot of wars happening at once, keeping track of it.
Yep.
And it's pure Arkham. It's moving around, getting clues, fighting enemies. That's what I love in Arkham. And I like the map. I like, seeing Canada. Yeah, Canada! Yeah, we love Canada. But also just like the flavor of the 3 Outer Gods, I think is really fun.
Wouldn't that be true if we got like an Ithaca campaign that was just Canada?
Yeah, send us to Canada, baby.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Bring us home.
Yeah. I really like it. I like the flavor of it a lot, which is like kind of definitely skewing me towards green. But I do think it's a replayable one, especially because you can like change the order of a certain thing, which might impact what like your final
how
boss
the game
is.
plays out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I give it yellow over green is because of that like onboard complexity. I think that there's enough things going on that if you are presumably if you're buying this is your first standalone, you're still relatively new to the game and you might not be super confident in how the rules and cards interact and stuff like that. And having that mechanical or that the board complexity can be really detrimental to your enjoyment of the game if you're kind of trying to keep track of everything that's happening there with the new rules and still like trying to figure out how the cards in your deck interact and how like the normal rules of the game potentially interact. It's it can be a lot. Definitely. Like really a big information overload.
Yeah, definitely.
So
all right, next one we got here is Machinations Through Time. Right. And we both gave it a red.
Yeah, I think this is another massive multiplayer one. I think it's not great as a single player one.
Yeah.
Or single group one. It's like fine. If someone told me they wanted to play this, I'd be like, yeah, okay. But like I wouldn't be pumped about it and I wouldn't want to sit there and play it over and over again.
Yeah.
There's lots of neat things you can do in the massive multiplayer because you have the freedom to do that. But when you're playing it single player, it doesn't scale, or a single group, it doesn't scale down quite as well, and you're kind of like really on rails to do the objective.
Yeah.
I find. So.
I do think this one would be fun as single player if you played exactly how it wanted you to, which like doesn't make for a fun scenario, right? Because you have to really get it in single player or like single group, you have to like really build your decks for it. And I mean, like you see this, this is like, I think that this one is a better solo group than Labyrinths. But I still think these massive multiplayers that are designed to be more interconnected aren't good recommendations for standalone scenarios.
Another reason this one is like very miserable for your first standalone in particular is when you're playing in massive multiplayer, this is like some minor spoilers for it, but there's like past, present, and future. There's different objectives for each time frame. When you're playing in mass multiplayer, you care about the objectives in whatever time period you're in.
Okay.
When you're playing in single group, you care about all of them, and like you can go watch our first playthrough of it, and like you can see mine especially, just brains absolutely melt.
Yeah,
I must have asked 20 times in that video, like, what are we supposed to be doing?
Because vague spoilers. There's 3 times. Each time has 3 objectives, and then there's 2 additional objectives on top of it.
It's just a lot.
So then you have.
They're like random. They change every time. Yeah. Each play. Well, I mean, not totally random. There's like a pool they draw from, but
yeah. Like the 2 change each time, and then there's 3 I think and fixed on each time frame. So you have 9 fixed, and then like a bunch of changing ones. And there's so many moving parts. And you get because you have all 3 it's too much. It's an easy red. Don't buy it as your first one.
Yeah, there's like characters that have different versions of themselves in each time period and it cares about which like version it is, and it's a lot, man.
It's flavorfully really cool, but if you want to play massive multiplayer, you can join our Patreon down in the description and join us for a future Patreon game.
At some point.
I do want to play this. I want to play this one in different time zones each time.
Help us.
Please. All right, and our last one here is the newest one, which just came out, which is Fortune and Folly. I think it's a neat, flavorful scenario. There's a metric by which you can grade yourself if you wanted to replay it, right? So it has like a way for you to...
It's like a scoring thing, kind of?
Yeah. It's not mechanically... I mean, it's fun. Some parts are like a little bit mechanically strange, but I think it's all approachable.
The new mechanics that are introduced to it are not particularly complex, but it's like War of the Outer Gods, where there's just like a million things on the board and a million things happening every enemy phase.
Yes,
the general upkeep is a lot.
Yes, yeah. It's also got like a higher light for me because it is the newest one, so like you'll find it at a store, and I think it's like an okay kind of first purchase if you like really want to. But I do think that you'll enjoy it more with like a proper card pool. However, one thing I do really like about Fortune and Folly is this might just be a me thing, but I feel like it's the first standalone where I actually feel like there's a reason to play it in a campaign.
Well, yeah, because it's like tied to a specific campaign.
Yeah. So it's like one of those things where like that's also nice. So like if you buy like the Scarlet Keys box, which funnily enough I think also got red from us, or would have gotten a red from us if it was out by the time.
The investigators got red for sure. I don't
No, we
remember.
we actually haven't done the boxes
Really?
for investigators yet, which we can do that for a future video for sure.
Wow.
But it's something that you could purchase at the same time, which I think also is nice. But it is more of an orange than it is a lime for me. It's a little bit more on the red yellow for me.
Yeah, this one is kind of like an orangey. It's not quite a red. It's not like the deep crimson of Machinations through time.
Yeah.
But you know, it is very fun. The flavor of, like, you know, again, like, it's minor spoilers, but like you're doing a heist. It feels like you're doing a heist, but there is just so many things on the board at once, and they move around differently from each other, and cards care about where different things are, and you have to like do things in like the encounter deck, it behaves in kind of a strange way, and then like there's just so much going on, and I think it's not hard standalone, but
the test numbers are very high.
It's definitely not easy either.
Yeah.
Sound like the high side of medium.
Yes, yeah.
So I think that'd be a little bit frustrating for the difficulty in combination with the board complexity would be frustrating for newer players.
Yeah. I think as well that, especially going to the board complexity, when whenever you have to be like, we're going to ignore this half of the game until we need it again, and we just keep tracking another way.
Yeah, that's a bad sign.
That's a bad sign. It's very complex. And that's it. We've made it to the end. I hope this video helped you figure out potentially what standalone you want. Oh, that's Bryn. 1 second. All right. But yeah, as we've been plugging throughout the whole thing, if you wanted to join us for potential massive multiplayer and also just these standalones in general, you can do so in our Patreon. And a huge thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the video. As well, if there's any other of these stoplights that you want us to do for various aspects of the game, let us know down in the comments. And as it always works, I'll get to them 6 to 8 months later.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one. And as always, a GG's.